Hey, hey. What y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir. Yo, life is full of options. Switching all the time, but the quickest way from A to B is still a straight line. I ain't lying, that is science. I'm trying to explain, cause if you apply determination, you can do anything. You can put your mind to. Give me the audio chord so I can find something to ride to. We're about to fly to another planet. Is magical warp speed like it's intergalactic. The way you make me feel, let's dip, cause we can fly in my starship like Han Solo by the castle mines, like Cowboy Bebop with jet and spies, like Captain Kirk on the Enterprise. We can travel far like a Dharma did in a Battlestar. I'm flinging haters like a catapult. You feel the heat and take it off. Like what y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir. Keep your windows down. Breeze hitting you didn't know, but you know now. I'm not kidding, there ain't no stopping. BSing is not an option. I just wanna see everybody rocking. I wanna see you getting higher than a rocket. Land a spacecraft with Neil and Buzz Aldrin. She in the cockpit, cruising at an altitude up there where all the stars live. Take the TARDIS back to Gallifrey, we're the guardians of the galaxy. Like Superman and Lois Lane, go to Cybertron on the Astro train. I just want to see you do your thing. If you don't know now, then you'll learn. From the earth to the moon, influenced by Jules Verne. I'm not concerned about what y'all gonna do. We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir.
Packing up for another trip. If you drive by my way, really there is no rush to this. We can rock night and day. Intergalactic love for this. Take me to outer space. Pick me up on that mothership so we can fly away.
I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to this summer.
Are we going somewhere?
I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're
Okay.
flying to this summer. I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to this summer.
Where we going, baby?
Ooh. I get in trouble sometimes. You make me wonder where we're flying to this summer. Like
What y'all trying to do?
hey, 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 hey. What y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir. Yo, life is full of options. Switching all the time, but the quickest way from A to B is still a straight line. I ain't lying, that is science. I'm trying to explain, cause if you apply determination, you can do anything. You can put your mind to. Give me the audio chord so I can find something to ride to. We're about to fly to another planet. Is magical warp speed like it's intergalactic. The way you make me feel, let's dip, cause we can fly in my starship like Han Solo by the castle mines, like Cowboy Bebop with jet and spies, like Captain Kirk on the Enterprise. We can travel far like a Dharma did in a Battlestar. I'm flinging haters like a catapult. You feel the heat and take it off. Like what y'all gonna do? We'll cruise among the stars. No matter what you do, I'll get you back up off the wall. Yes, sir.
Okay, Everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy. Cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship gumbo, ayy.
Hey, everybody, you know what day it is. It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. It's the Relationship Gumbo Podcast, and we are live. And guess what? We have yet another amazing guest. You know I keep them coming, y'all. And I don't know how it happens, but I see folks, and I'm like, you know what? I need to make a connection. And so this tonight's we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some things y'all going to laugh about, but you also going to see yourself. And if you don't see yourself, it's going to be about somebody you know, because we're talking about those things that we say and then we try to force people in, like I'm jealous and you just going to have to deal with it. We're going to talk about those things and why people do that. They're using their trauma as a badge of honor, like you must deal with me. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get it in. I know y'all going to be triggered, but that's what the whole show is about. We're going to trigger you, and then we're going to give you some tips on how you can kind of, walk in the direction of healing. So if you haven't already, make sure you go to relationshipgumbo.info and get all things relationship gumbo related, life coaching. Pretty soon we're going to have online courses that you can get into. It's going to be some things. So y'all need to keep yourself attached. Now, first thing I want you to do for me, make sure you share and invite this. And if you're on live, make sure you hit that thumb and like if you like the content so that we can get those algorithms in our favor. And also, if this is your first time here, we are also an audio podcast. So make sure that you go check us out at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Alexa. You can even say the name on Alexa and it pops up. It's ridiculous. I'm everywhere. So just pick your poison. I'm there. We have over 100 episodes that you can binge and find whatever you want to, whatever your heart desires. It's there because I done talked about a lot of stuff. So tonight, what I'm going to do is what I do is I'll pause for 3 seconds. I'll start the podcast for the audio portion. And then at the end, I'll pause for another 3 seconds so we can chop it off on both ends so you can have that audio you can listen to while you're laying in bed, while you're driving in your car. Get that content in, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So give me my 3 seconds and we will get started. Welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones and I'm your host. I'm a certified life and relationship coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And tonight we have a crazy topic that I thought about because I hear it a lot in these internet streets. And I also have an even more amazing guest. And I'll just say this before I bring her up. You know how sometimes when you're linked to people on social media and then they'll go live with somebody like on Instagram and you'll see who they go live with. So I was like, let me pop in here. And when I heard this, I'll say young lady, when I heard this young lady speak, I was taken away. I was like, wow, because you know me, I pay attention to all the little minute details. Y'all had to blame my whole sordid past on my paying attention to details, but I'm listening to the intelligence, I'm listening to the knowledge base, I'm listening to her experience, and I was like, this fits. So that's how I got her here tonight. I wasn't afraid to open my mouth and say, I need you on the show. So without further ado, let me bring her up and unmute her. And if I butcher your name, Altagracia Felix,
you nailed it.
Welcome to the show. We're happy to have you here. And what I want you to do is tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do. And we're going to get right into it.
Yes. I have to celebrate you because you tried and you got it right. So thank you for trying and getting it right. So like you said, my name is Altagracia Felix, and I am a certified money coach and a trauma coach. And I specialize in helping women who have experienced intimate partner abuse or toxic relationships heal their relationship with themselves first, so that they can heal their relationship with others, with their money, and all other areas of their life. I've been doing this now for a couple of years, and I really enjoy what I do. I think it's super powerful and so needed to just really help people start getting on track to living the lives that they want to have. So thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
Absolutely, this is gonna be good, and this ain't the last time we gonna see you either, because I pay attention. When I connect with people, I do a deep dive, and I done seen it all. So we gonna have you on some other things. So stay tuned, guys. She gonna be on some other things. She just don't know it yet. So this topic about wearing your trauma or using your trauma like it's a badge of honor, and what we mean by that is we, and I'll say affectionately we, like people we know, even ourselves, sometimes we know that we have certain issues and traumas, but we almost refuse to deal with them. So, but we still want to be out here dating and being in relationships and marriages. And so what we'll do is we'll tell people, this is my issue. So do you gonna have to, in order to be with me, you're gonna have to deal with me being like this, instead of them saying I'm working on it or anything like that. So what I want to do is I want to go through, it's a bit of an echo. Okay, hold on one second. Hey guys, let me know if the echo is gone now. So I'm gonna pause for like 2 seconds to make sure there's no echo, because I want everybody to get this information. Let me know if the echo is still there. I know it's like a 20-30 second delay. So we're gonna give some time to that, but I'm gonna keep talking because that's what I do. So we're going to talk about these things, and what I've done is I've kind of lined up a few, not all, because I know y'all, it's a ton of different issues y'all have, but I got a few bullet points of things that I hear people say, and then we're going to talk about if we have personal experiences. Hold on one second. He said it's on your side, but I don't know if you have them.
Yep. I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you, Gunter Man, for alerting me to that, because I want to make sure this is going to work out. So we're going to give her a second to do the earphone thing, and then that should solve the problem.
Okay. Is that better?
All right, guys, let me know. Say a couple words so they'll know that it's everybody's saying they heard it from you. So she just talked. Say something again, like testing.
Thank you. testing, 1, 2, 3. Definitely.
Okay, it's good now. We good now. Let's go. Okay, guys. So, like I said, to repeat, I have a few things that I have lined up that you guys probably have said out your mouths yourself. So we're gonna just get started. So number one is I'm a jealous person. You know how you ask people sometimes, we'll ask them when we're having a dialogue, and you'll say, are you the jealous type? And they be like, yeah, I'm a little jealous. So you just gonna have to deal with that. So I'm gonna ask you before we even get into it, have you ever said this, or have you encountered people that have said this?
I've both. I've said it. I've been that really hyper jealous person.
Hyper jealous.
Hyper jealous. Like
okay.
Aggressive jealous.
They said, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Keep talking. You said hyper jealous. Okay, let's start there. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments. They're saying the echo's still there.
Really? And it's still on my end.
Yeah, just keep talking. I'll figure it out. I'll make some adjustments over here.
Okay. All right. Yeah, hyper jealous. Like same way. Like I'm just a jealous person. You're just gonna have to deal with it. You can't talk to no girls. I don't want to see you interacting with them. I want to know what party you going to, who you going with, how long you gonna be. Just crazy. That definitely was me on that side.
So do you with you saying that, do you know where it came from, or were there a series of events that led up to you being that way, or is there like a point where you could say that's where it came from? We don't need to know all the gory details, but
I would say it's a series. It came from a lot of things that I saw in my childhood. So my perception about men was shaped early, and so I felt like men couldn't be trusted, and that's part of where that jealousy came from. And then insecurities about myself, that was something that I uncovered later. That was also a factor in what was happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, a lot of people that say this, they're afraid that the other person gonna find somebody better than them. You know what I mean? And that in itself, I think, we always talk about people loving yourself and self-love and all these type of things, and a lot of us don't even have that, but we still want to be out here trying to be in relationships with people. And I think that the I'm jealous thing, I think I've heard that like a lot. And
so common.
huh?
It's so common.
It is. It's very
If
common.
Stay there, let me know, because I don't know if it's the phone, but I have my laptop right here, and I can try to get that all situated. I want to make sure that people are hearing what we're about to go down. I don't want to.
Well, let's keep going. They're responding. If it's an echo, I'll figure something out. I can try to make some adjustments here because I don't want to. Unless you can do it real fast.
I'm whipping it like a car right now.
All right, guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. Right? We're gonna take her.
Talking and I'm gonna whip it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you off screen.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna keep talking because that's what I do. And then we're gonna keep it moving. So hold on one second. So guys, while we're taking care of the technical difficulties here, I want to talk about. Let's stay on this jealous one for now until she comes back. So in the audience, you can put a thumbs up or some kind of emoji. Let me know if you've ever said this before, that you're a jealous person, and without saying that without the notion of you going in and starting a fresh relationship and having that person be like, a new experience for you. You're saying out your mouth, I'm a jealous person. So, basically watch out because this is a part of who I am. And that's really the thing. The thing is, you telling people that it's a part of who you are. I think it's especially when we're talking about toxic stuff. Let me see if, okay. Hold on one second, guys. She's coming back. Hold on. All right, we're going to test her out real quick and see.
So hopefully the echo is better. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do I
Hey,
sound
audience,
good?
let me know. Let me know if the echo is still there or not. So we're wrapping up the jealousy part. You said that you used to be hyper jealous. So, hey, I got another question then.
Shoot.
Are you still a jealous type of person, or did you kind of evolve from that?
I have evolved. I still have so I think this is critical to say. So there's jealousy that still comes up in me, but I'm no longer influenced or making decisions based on that. And I think that's where the maturity part and the self-security and all those other components come into play. So
hold on before you do that. Turn your volume down low enough for you to hear it. I'm doing my engineering thing, y'all.
All right,
Turn
it's
it
low.
Okay. So it still should be
Better?
Yeah. It should be better now if you're on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna keep pushing. Everybody's saying keep pushing. So go ahead. I'm sorry. You were talking about you moved past it, you evolved past it. So what happened?
Yeah. So it's like I had to recognize my worth, my value. Like I know who I am, what I bring to the table, and what I'm expecting of my partner somewhat, right? So if I'm with someone and that person, I guess it's kind of like this acceptance of being able to let go. If I'm with this person and he chooses to do things or behave in a certain way that is going to harm the relationship that we have together, I'm not going to try to hold on to him and try to keep him in place. Like, be free. You have the right to be happy and go find that. And so I've learned to kind of step into that. And it doesn't mean that it wouldn't hurt. It just means that I'm just not, like, I don't need you to stay here if you don't want to stay here. And I think jealousy comes a little bit with that clinginess. Like, I need you to stay. I think you're going to leave and I need you to stay. And so, yeah, I feel like that's what's helped me transition out of that behavior.
So one last question on that. Did you getting into a new relationship inspire the change, or did the change happen before that?
Me getting into a new relationship.
Gotcha.
Because you want context? I'll give you context.
You
'Cause
can
I
give
think
us
it's
what you
important.
want to. I just don't want to. I don't want to dig too deep. You be like, wait, I didn't want to talk about that.
Nah,
So I'm gonna let you lead
I'm
the
like an open
charge.
book. That you let me know when you want me to stop going too deep.
See,
But I
look,
believe the
look,
healing
look.
comes.
I fixed it. See, I'm good. I'm
It
good at
worked?
this.
Yeah, it happened once I got into this relationship because what I recognized was that I was the common denominator in all of my previous relationships.
There
And
it is.
therefore, the work that needed to happen within me. And the person that I was with was giving me the space to do that. And so I took the opportunity to do the work that I needed to do to
Right.
become a better version of me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's. I think. I think personally, maybe when I was younger, but the older version of me, I just, you know what it is too. I always ended up in relationships with like, well, past the younger ones that cheated on me. After those ones though, the ones that I ended up with were like super duper like you knew they wasn't gonna get tempted to go nowhere else. Like they didn't even want nobody touching them or just it, germophobia type. Like even if they
Mm-hmm.
saw somebody, it would still take a long time for that person to earn to even just to touch the skin. I would always get those types. So I'm like, if they even saw, or that dude would have to put some work in just to be able to get in her personal space. So I always
I can dig
ended
that.
up with those types. So that was never like a fear of mine, but I understand it. I
Mm-hmm.
understand it.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's a real sorry guys, I'm just trying to get my camera together. It's a real fear. And the body, like the brain and the body can't decipher a bullshit fear from a real fear. The brain reacts the same exact way. And so it takes you being conscious enough to recognize what's happening and making a choice at that moment of what you want to do next. Like not be driven by jealousy because your partner doesn't have to put up with that shit.
Yep. Yep. And that's going to be the reoccurring theme tonight. You don't have to deal with it. Even if they leave with it and say, this is my issue, you have a choice of whether you want to deal with it or not. So that's a good segue into the next one. This is probably one of the biggest ones that I hear all the time. I'm toxic or I'm crazy. I got a little crazy in me. So you're going to have to deal with it, me being a little crazy. That in itself to me sounds crazy. Because I'm thinking like, and I've heard this many times, you on the phone or you on the first date and you're like, so, what, tell me something about you. Well, I'm a little crazy. I'm a little toxic. So, just be warned. And I'm like, no, check please. Like,
Right. you need to have those red flags, those red markers along the way.
and
No.
toxic seems to be like one of those words that people just kind of just flows out their mouth now. Like I don't think we heard it this much like 10 years ago. It's like everybody's on this, toxic that. And I'm like, why, if you wanted someone to like you, why would you lead with that?
I feel like it's twofold. Like one part of it is I know I'm not going to change. Let me just tell this dude who I am. So when I do lose my shit, I can say, I told you, or, like you already knew. But on the other half, I think it comes from this belief that healing doesn't exist. Like, that they can't be better. They can't get better. Like they can't change. And therefore they're just like, open with that, I guess. I mean, which is a win-win for the other person sitting across the table.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to read a comment here, Dope Discussions with Erica podcast, and this is what I was alluding to, what I was about to allude to. The toxic part of us will see that as a challenge instead of a red flag. And so there's a lot of men and women that say that they need that crazy in their life. They need somebody with a little toxic and a little crazy. And that's how they want their relationship to be. And I'm like, so both of y'all got to get fixed. But we don't look at it like that. Like even, I want to say, maybe the younger version of me would say stuff like I like a little crazy in them. Because, for whatever reason, people think that that's more exciting. But there's a downside to that.
There is. There is. I was in 3 consecutive abusive relationships from the age of 14 to 26. So 12 years of my life, from hot pan to hot pan to hot pan. Right? Like, I didn't know what I was doing with myself. But a part of me did like the chaos because that's what felt normal to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can totally relate to that. Wanting it. And I guess for me too, it was me seeing my partners as a challenge because I wanted to help them. I wanted them to be better. I wanted them to do all these wonderful things, not realizing that I really need to be helping myself during
Yeah.
those times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
I
got
think that's
another
super
follow-up
powerful.
question because I'm curious, but I'm gonna read this comment because the questions keep every time you talk, it spawns another question. Tashira Talk says they want toxic and crazy until you set their shit aflame. So yeah. I've had some threaten to bust some tires out before, and I didn't think it was cute then. And I was just like, "Thank you for warning me." I chose to ignore it, and here it is. So,
Listen, I've done it.
yeah, Erica says they claim toxic partners have better sex. That's what people think. We have a bullet point about that coming up very soon. That's actually the next one. My question to you is, and it's more of a personal question because it's kind of because this my audience needs to hear this. After those 3 relationships, on the other side of that, did you change into something else, or did you take some time to kind of get yourself together? Because my story, I had three too, right? And after that third one, I turned into a monster. Like I didn't care about anybody after that. Like I lost a part of myself.
Ah. I did that in between those 3. But when I left the last one, I was going around saying, I'm a good woman. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I work, I cook, I clean, I take care of the kids. I don't, go crazy partying. Like, I don't understand why this keeps happening to me. And then I'm like, okay, like, really, why does this keep happening to me? And what that did for me, what I did was I had to step out of myself to turn around and look at myself objectively without criticism, without judgment. No, you stupid, none of that kind of language. Just what were the choices that I was making that kept leading me to these same circumstances? And one of the things that I found, which was really big, was I kept melting away into those relationships. I would start dating someone, and everything that made them happy, that made them, whatever, is what I did. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like I would stop doing what I wanted to do
Yep.
to appease them. And so I changed that. That was the first thing that I changed, was I will no longer stop doing the things that I love, that bring me joy, that add value to my life, that make me happy, because someone else is uncomfortable with it. Like,
Yeah.
that's your shit you have to deal with. It is not mine. If you don't trust me enough to accept me pursuing my happiness, then we don't need to be together.
Yeah. That right there, that you even knowing to do that is huge. Because a lot of people stay in that cycle for like forever. And every time it just takes a little piece of you. Every time.
It
And you feel
does.
like, again, and I
Let me
have a
say
show, I
something
don't
to
want to
that.
go too deep because I got a show coming up about this very thing next week.
Okay, cool. I
What,
was about to say, let me say something to that. That whole losing a
you
piece
can
of
stay, you can go there if you want to.
you. Okay, because I feel like you only lose a piece of you if you let that piece of you get lost. This was
Very
something
true.
that I was thinking about today. Like, you date someone you love so hard, you give them everything, and then you leave. You're like, I'm never gonna love that way again. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna do these things that way again. But that's just who you are. Like, you
Yeah.
just love that hard. So why would you not be that way for the next man? Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you love, or next woman, love that person that same way? So I feel like, yes, you get to lose a little bit, but like, lose the toxic shit.
Yeah.
The shit that contributed to the toxic environment. But don't lose those things that make you you.
Yeah.
Like, that you get to take and keep using in your life.
Yeah. I'm a very big proponent of knowing your self identity and owning it, right? Instead of assuming that someone won't like it. own it, because somebody out there will. I always talk about, and Tashura on here will identify with this too, that what she calls the L7. You know, when you put the letters, the L and the 7 together, it's a square. So if you're a square person, you're a kind of a nerdy, geeky person. We always think that people won't like us back in the day because we were like that, because it wasn't cool. But for every nerd, there's another nerd that's looking for a nerd to couple up with. So you don't matter what you think would be the exclusion. There's somebody out there that wants it. So
Right.
you just gotta stand the stay the course and just own who you are, because anything other than that, you're wearing a mask. And who wants to do
Right.
that for the rest of your life, right?
Right. God.
So yeah, so this next one right here, I'm sure a lot of our audience will enjoy and probably have thought of it or have said this, but these people who say, I'm not gonna say the exact words on here, even though I could, because I'm grown, but I'm not. These I hear women a lot saying, "I want some toxic D," or the men saying they want some toxic P. This one right here, although the end result isn't always good, most of the time, I understand it. And I hate that it's this way, because it's like the most toxic people, then people will say, well, that's the best sex. And so when you having a down moment, you're like, oh, I just need some toxic D. I already know he ain't shit, but I'm gonna just go ahead and get me some. And then but then in that same vein, you're saying behind closed doors that I want a long-term lasting relationship, and so you can't do both at the same time. That's my theory.
Right.
The energy
I
attracts
agree.
energy.
No, I agree. I love this woman, Sherelle Thomas. She always talks about that being vibrational beings. So you have this desire for a long-term relationship, but the vibration that you're functioning on is attracting toxicity. So it don't mix. Like she always says, you can't hear 107.1 if you're listening to 96.3.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. So
Yeah.
I totally get that. But I was in a relationship with one of my abusers for 6 years because it was good. Like, honestly, seriously, because towards the end there was nothing else for me to stay for. And I go to psychics. I like all that stuff. And I had went to one who I really love. She's amazing. But she just looked at me and she was like, there's tons of good D out there. Like, I hadn't told her anything. She was like, there's tons of good D out there. Like, you don't have to stay because of that. And when she said that, like, that really started to shift. Like, I started to realize I really was staying because of this thing that really wasn't what I wanted in my life. Like, there is tons of good stuff out there. I know that now.
Yeah, you literally have to detox from it. Like, in order to like get it out your system, you got to do like a straight detox, because what happens is when you do end up going into the next relationship, you start to compare.
Yeah.
Right? And if the toxic D is on your 10 out of 10 list and somebody comes in at a 7, but they're an amazing person, you're going to be like, nah, I don't know about this one. When that's probably where you should be.
Listen, you can teach and you can learn. Just because the person's at a 7 don't mean they can't make it to a 10.
You're right.
It's totally
You're right
possible.
about that. But a lot of people won't wait that long. They'll be like, that first audition is the only one you get.
It's and that's why the first audition should have happened right away.
There you go.
But that's where the communication component comes from, right? Like, you have to be able to communicate with your partner, and communicate about sex, communicate about all types of things. But yeah, like, if sex is important to you, like I know it is for me, it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. If you're dating someone who you like, who is good in all types of other ways, and that's the only area he lacks, maybe he's open-minded, but you haven't taken the time to explore that, to see if he's willing to try new stuff. So that's my 2 piece on that.
Fun detox.
Right. That needs to be hashtagged.
So let me read a couple of these comments, because I think I saw something that said that toxic D will leave you with a disease. Toxic D will get you behind bars, Erica says. And Wiz on here says, remember when females are in their prime and young and hot, they give the toxic guy the best. After the charmer, the good guy gets the worst. So, and
I was about to say elaborate.
I think what he's trying to say is that you spend a lot of times, and not every, I have to make that distinction, not everyone, but a lot of women, when they're young, they end up with the bad boy and they get all of the toxic D. And then when they grow up and they get a little older, they looking for that good guy. That good guy might not get that same type of energy that you gave back then. I think that's what he's saying. It happens, but I know for an absolute fact that a lot of women, once they get over 35 and 40, then that thing reverts back to 22.
I just died. Plus, there's tons of things that women can do to like enhance that area of their bodies. Lots of things that they can do.
You mean like get a little buzzy thing? Get a buzzy thing? I did a post about that. Make your room sound like a barbershop. But anyway, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things, and you have to have a partner that's open to kind of like. So, but then that's all part of getting to know the person before you go crazy and try to figure out what you were saying. So,
right,
yeah,
like, that's the key. Because some of that old toxic shit, that was something else that I realized. I allowed men to sweep me off my feet into like cloud nine oblivion space. Okay. So being aware of that helped me start to shift, right, and create space. Like me and my
yes,
partner were friends well before we decided to become a couple, and that literally transformed. I feel like that was what made this relationship successful versus the relationships that I've been in the past, because I didn't give him time to be my friend. I was just like, oh, things are great, let me go, sweep me off my feet, I don't see a thing, like things are great. So yeah,
yeah, that
wait,
right there. That's why
that's the message.
I'm always a proponent to and I talked about it on one of the viewers here, TK's Chronicles of a Black Sheep podcast, when I was on that on their podcast. There's you got to unlock the levels just like on a video game, right? Like you don't just let somebody jump all the way up to the last level. They got to earn their way up to whatever it is. And here's the thing. This is why I said you got to detox, because once you start making those comparisons, especially when you older, you have some experience in there that next person has to compete up against. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be the cream of the crop probably, but they're going to be a decent person, and you got to work. You can't have it all. Damn it. You might want to have every single thing on your list, but life doesn't work that way.
There's no such thing. Like dump the expectations list away. Right? Like get rid of it, because it'll lead you down the wrong path. It will absolutely lead you down the wrong path. And I always say to my one-on-one clients when I work with them is create your 5 things that you don't want. Yep. And let that be your guide. Be open to what comes your way, but don't lose sight of the 5 things you absolutely refuse to accept in your life or embrace in your life. Because when you're swept off by all these 5 wonderful things, you can easily miss the one red flag that's going on over there.
Yep.
Right. So
let me bring out my little
red flag.
So we're gonna move on to the next one, because this one right here, I hear not a whole lot, but I hear it quite a bit. Is when people lead the charge in saying, "I already know I have daddy issues," and it's like, see, here's my thing, and maybe I'm a weirdo. When you go start out a conversation with this, I understand you want to be transparent and all of that. But when you say that to a person, does that mean that you want them to deal with it, or you think they can help you with it? Or like, it's weird to me that people would just outright, like, I would think that you would not want to, like, even though you shouldn't, maybe you need to talk to a therapist or a coach or something like that. But why would you unearth that to somebody that you're trying to get to know? Like, I would think most people would want to kind of keep that quiet and kind of see how it flows.
That's a good question. I would love to know what people that do say that actually, like, why they do say that. So if anyone in the audience is there that, and you have said that, like, please do put it in the chat because I want to know. Because the only thing that I have in my mind when I hear that you're leading with that is like you're asking for either a pass, right? Like you're, when I start acting crazy or doing whatever, like know that it's stemming from this place and, just deal with it, which is an unacceptable approach. And like I said before earlier, what was the one that you talked about? Where it's like they're using it and saying it as if they just don't I'm toxic? Was that the one? I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm
toxic. I
crazy or
think
I'm
that's the one.
toxic.
Yeah,
I'm
like they
jealous.
just don't
Yeah.
want to. They don't want to do the work. They just want the
Yeah.
green. They just want the pass to not have to do the work. So I would love to know why you would lead with that. I think if you lead with that in the attempt to let your partner know, look, I've been through some shit and I'm working on it, like that's good. But to lead with that and that not be the case, I feel like that's also a wonderful thing for the person sitting on the other side of the table.
Yeah. I feel like as a grown up, I would be afraid of like a lot of this stuff if this was like our first conversation. Um,
Uh, Let me. All right.
I'm always a proponent that, what, depending on the severity of it, if you know out the gate, once you at a certain age, the project's got to go, man. Like this is my personal feeling. I know some people are like, you can work with me. If you're like, I'm toxic, I'm crazy, guess what? I can't. I just can't. The
Yeah,
single
it's not
version
for
of me would be
everybody.
like, hell no.
It's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. Like, me and my partner did a podcast interview a couple months, maybe like 5 months back, where we talked about a lot of the stuff because we got together shortly after I left my toxic relationship.
Hmm.
But we have been friends for a while leading up to that. But we never got into a fight because of any of my past bullshit.
Hmm.
And that was because and he will tell you himself. I would literally be in the middle of being triggered and I would say, wait, this shit is not for you. This is my shit I gotta go deal with. Like, I'll be back. And I will go in my room and go process through the shit on my own. So when you want to have a relationship with someone while you're still healing, you need to, it's not their responsibility to heal you. It is not their
Yeah.
shit to carry. It is their shit to hold space for you to do what you need to do, right? That's the choice that you're making when you're saying, okay, you have trauma, you have wounds, you have things you need to work through. Is I'm going to hold space for you and I'm still going to love you, the person, the you that's standing in front of me, but I'm going to give you all this space for you to do all this shit you got to do to make you happy because it is not my response. It's no one's responsibility to make you happy. And I feel like when we walk in with that toxic, I'm crazy, I have daddy issues. All that means is I need you to be complacent and live and function and do whatever I need you to do so I feel good. And I don't care how it makes you feel. Like,
Yeah.
why,
Yeah.
why would you walk in that way?
So we're going to segue into the bullet point that you kind of just touched on about in relationships while healing or dating while healing.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I'm gonna read a comment and then I have a comment to piggyback on what you just said. Erica says, I think people say that up front to see if the person is going to run, and then it confirms their belief that they are damaged goods. Sharing too much too soon is a trauma response.
Mm.
My piggyback is this. I always try to look at, and it's the analyst in me, right? I always try to look at the why on both sides, not just the person that's saying the thing. And so, like,
Yeah.
this is why I said hell no. I feel like if someone says that, and then I say, okay, I'm cool with that, then it's also saying something about me too. That I'm willing to take that on, and I'm okay with it. Like, if somebody
Yeah.
say I'm toxic as hell, I'm crazy, whatever, and I say okay, cool, that's what I like. There's something wrong with me too.
I agree with that. I
So
agree with that.
it, it
I
it's
mean,
it's a
ah,
cycle of dysfunction that I don't even want to be a part of, right? Like, and I
that's
know,
the key.
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no, you're
that's the
good.
key.
You're
What you
good.
just said was the key.
it's and I think about this all the time because I always talk about how two great people could come together and then it'll be like this one thing or the communication and then it destroys the whole thing. And it probably could have worked if they had the tools that they needed. And so I understand we all come to the table with stuff, right? We all got our stuff. To segue into the relationship while healing, right? So I'm gonna let you kind of lead the charge on this part of it, and we're gonna just talk about people who say that they're in the process of healing, but they're actually either out dating, meeting people, or starting a relationship, or being in a relationship. Let's speak about what that really looks like, and are people really healing? My question to you is: do you think a lot of these people are really healing themselves, or is this something cliche to say to make people more accepting of you?
That's a great. I don't have statistical data on that, but what I'm gonna say is it's. I think it's probably split down the middle. Like because I feel like some people genuinely want to heal, and in the research that I've done, like in research and in the work that I've done with clients, I think it's 50-50. Some people actually want to heal, and they're ready and willing to go through that dark valley, right? Because you have to kind of go through this darkness. You have to like look at yourself, look at your experiences, and get comfortable with that. And not everyone is comfortable doing that. Like a lot of people want to, and I was saying that earlier, a lot of people want to get to healed, right? Get to the other side, but don't want to do the work that has to happen in between. And so when you step into a relationship with someone and you say, I'm in the process of healing, and you choose not to actually do the work, you're creating a secondary toxic environment. And that's what my little talk series is about, where how are you being toxic? Because that's manipulative.
Yes.
You're lying to someone, telling them that you're going to do some work. They're believing in you, giving you their trust, right? And so then what
Yeah.
happens next? Like every time a flare up happens, do you actually take the time to go within? Or are you then turning around telling your partner, oh, lashing out and then apologizing, doing the whole trauma bonding cycle, but now you're the one that's causing that trauma?
Yep.
So I would say I would say it's probably around 50-50. Like I would
Yeah.
say it's around 50-50. But it's
I
gonna
would.
take discernment on both
Yeah.
both sides.
A lot of discernment. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you are the trauma coach. So I'm gonna yield to your expertise. But this is what I think. I think when people are in like I talked to you before the show, some people will say they're healing for like 10 years, right? And I think there's a process by which you heal, but then there's also a process where you can almost take like bullet points, like I'm triggered by this, I'm triggered by that, I'm triggered by that. And then you can work on those things, but once you know they're your triggers, then you can kind of almost stick your toe in the water and know, just like how you did when you was like, I needed to go in a separate room. You knew to do that. It didn't mean that it was all, because I don't believe there's a such thing as completely like it's disappeared. It's just you manage it better, right?
Right.
So if you know what the triggers are, you know the points where you say, I need a few minutes, and you can still effectively date knowing those things. It's when you just don't even give a damn and you just like, I'm gonna just let it fly.
Right.
It's not really fair to the other person if you already know up front you're gonna pop off and you like, but let me hide
Right.
it from them. And then when they come out, the other person's like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. Where did this
Right.
come from? And now, unfortunately, and I talk about this on my show, when you do that and the monster jumps out of you and the other person has to deal with that, especially if they forgive you and then it keeps coming back, you
Right.
ineffectively have given trauma to another person that may not have had it. And then if it doesn't work, they have to go out there, probably unhealed, and then they're going to probably hurt somebody else. And
Right.
then the cycle
Right.
of terror.
I
It's,
agree with that. That's exactly what happens. Like I know I developed toxic traits. I had some serious anger issues. I had like very little patience. I was controlling. Like I developed some really, but all of it was like a trauma response. It was things that I had to do to protect myself while in the toxic relationship. It
mhm.
worked while in there. It helped me survive while in there.
Right,
But
right,
they
right.
weren't things that were going to help me to create what I actually desired, was a healthy, loving, supportive relationship with another human being, what I had learned wasn't going to support that. And so, like what you were saying, I think it's kind of corny for you to go into a relationship knowing that you're not really ready to do the work. Like, stay by yourself. There's plenty. I always, like, one of my rules is 5. I'm gonna give you a little TMI right now. 5 seems to be my favorite number. 5 no things, 5 yes things, 5 boo things. When you are not ready to be in a relationship with someone, you still have needs. You still want to cuddle. You still want to have sex. You still want someone to just watch movies with or go on trips with. You still want that. Find you your 5 that will fulfill those needs without having to commit or scar anyone. Right? Like, people are okay with not being in a committed relationship if that's not what you want, if that's not what you want, if you're not ready for that, if you're not ready for what that means, because you're asking someone else to trust you with their heart. Like, that shit's a real job. Like, you just take pride in that. And so, I usually recommend that my clients do not get in relationships, honestly. If they're not already in one. I do recommend that they stay by themselves. I do hear a lot of coaches that say you should be in a relationship while healing. I know I was in a relationship while healing, but I know the level of work and awareness that it took for me. And unless you're prepared to do that, then you shouldn't be stepping into that. And like you were saying, some people are 5-10 years into this healing process.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are in that because they're depending on some outside source to help them heal.
Because it's like 10 years without a therapist or a coach or anything. It's like, I'm going to just figure it out.
Some people have been in therapy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And still haven't fixed it.
Yeah, and I will say this. Most of us aren't built to have those non-committal relationships where we're getting those 5 boo things and not go a place where there's no return emotionally, right?
Well, that's why you have the one emotional person. We don't have to go all the way there.
People are not. Let me tell you something about these people. They want to be married. They want to be in relationships long term. That in between gray area, they ain't ready for that. They not.
Some people need it though. Like, I
know they need it. And here's my new hashtag. Hashtag Buzzy Thing. Hashtag Buzzy Thing. Get you the little rose or whatever the hell that thing is and get it popping, right? All I'm saying is...
Oh, Buzzy Thing. I'm like, what is that? Took me a second. That went over my head. But I understand, right? Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not sleeping with 5 people. That is not what I am saying here.
Yeah.
You only sleep with 1. Right? Only one person is that phone call. But what it is you're not depending on this one person to be your emotional support, to be your cuddle buddy, to be your, I want to go out to eat, let's go on vacation. This one person doesn't fulfill that. That's like a relationship when you have one person that fulfills that. But this allowed me, and what has allowed people that I've talked to do, is to navigate all the things that come up when you're healing, right? Like your up days, your down days, do all of that stuff without feeling responsible for another person, right? Like without without that added responsibility of, am I hurting this person's feelings? There's no one there for me to hurt. Like it's just me.
Yeah, Tashura says no Buzzy Things either. Buzzy Things can't hold you at night. They can't cuddle and kiss. Y'all know I be joking. This is my thing, right? This is my thing. Most of the people I meet that have relationship trauma, they're having issues trying to find a person and all of that. That they can't just sleep with somebody. Like they want the person they sleep with to be the one. They're not. Most people I talk to, they can talk that stuff. Yeah, I can do this, and I don't have to get any feelings. They ain't ready.
They can't.
They be lying to them. I'm not saying that people can't do it or that it's not a good idea for some people, but a lot of folks out here, they can't ride that line. They can lie to themselves if they want to. And they be sitting in the closet crying, talking about, I thought nothing was going to happen.
I'm going to honor what you're saying right there.
Yeah. Hey, go, Erica.
I'm going to honor that because, I'm sorry, we keep...
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying I'm gonna honor that because it is true. You have to have a certain level of control over your emotions to be able to step into something like that.
And
But
here's the
if you
key.
can
Here's the
manage
key.
it,
Here's the key. Before
it's
you say
great.
that, right? Here's the key. It requires a certain level of healing before you can even be that person, right? Because the people who say it the most are the ones that have so much trauma that it's impossible for them to detach in that way. That's what I was getting at. Like they still have these things that they need to have, and that need to have is it's like they want all of it in the same person. And so even if they say I'm just going to sleep, it's like all that other stuff still comes with it too. And then they're like, dang, how'd I get here again? Situationship. I'm stuck. I don't. What are we? And they're like, wait, we didn't talk about what are we. This wasn't the deal. And then now you hurt
Right.
again. And then you rinse and repeat because you don't want to call it a thing. Because if you call it a thing, then you might get hurt again. But you got hurt anyway. So anyway, that's
You have to. I love how you broke that down because that is so true. That is so true, and I know people who have had that experience, and who can't do it that way. And to those people, you still need to be by yourself. I
yeah,
still feel like you need to spend time. That was one of the best things I ever did for myself was to be by myself. Like to wake up in the morning and there be nobody there. As much as you want someone there, to no one there, because then you have to start to deal with your own thoughts, and then you have to figure out, well, I don't have anything to do. What am I going to do? And you start to tap into what are some of the things that I used to love to do that I stopped doing. Um, what is the crazy shit? Like most people can't sit with their thoughts,
very true. Very true. This is why I'm a
and that's
proponent
why we
of
want people
detoxing.
around.
You
Huh?
got it. You're gonna have to detox at some point in order for you to get yourself back in the game, or you're gonna be still slave to that stuff that you've been doing all these years.
Absolutely.
It's
The
a
change
it's a
comes from
scary
within.
place though. To be by yourself sometimes, it's a scary place because you like, dang, what do I do now? Because I'm used to having somebody laying next to me, and I'm used to being in something, and I'm like, if you can achieve the holy grail of being okay with being happy in your own space by yourself, and this is what I talked about on the other show too. Once you have that level of peace, you're not gonna want nobody to take that away from you.
Nobody.
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 Once you have that superpower, good luck trying to get in. You're not gonna get in because once I start to feel that peace slip away, I'm like, hold on, sir. No, wait, nope, we're not doing that. Go ahead and lose my number. When you get to that point,
There's a
that's where you
balance.
win.
I think there's a balance with like back to communication, man. Like communication is critical. Like I don't think me and my partner would be where we are if communication wasn't a pillar of our relationship. And that shit don't mean we don't, argue or not see eye to eye, but we don't disrespect each other.
Yep.
We don't dismiss each other. I might not understand or agree where you coming from or what you're saying, but that don't mean it's not important. It's important to you, and I value you. But that's a healed person being able to say that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go. You want this thing. You have to go through this valley. You
Yeah.
have to go through this valley. You went up the hill. You made it out, right? And now you're trying to get to that other mountain of healthy relationships, healthy life, peace, all that beautiful stuff, but you can't jump and you can't fly. You literally have to go down that mountain and go up that track, but that freaking view when you get over there is priceless.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. Yeah. See, guys, she came from hyper jealous all the way to
my man got best friends
Emo-
that are girls. He goes fishing without me. Like it's crazy. The journey is crazy. When I think about who I was just 5 years ago to who I am right now, it's not two different people. It's like an unbecoming of who I was never meant to be in the first place.
Right, right, right. And I think just listening to you tonight, like I hear the work, I hear the growth. Even though I don't know you, the stuff that you're saying is what we all should aspire to have, like as far as tools in our relationships in order to make it. Because I always talk about on this show about you can argue, but just don't hurt each other. So when you hurt each other, we carry that, and then it turns into resentment. And then next
Yeah.
thing you know, you hating that person. You don't even want to come home no more. So that I love hearing that, and I want everybody in the audience, man, to just take some notes, man, because this is where, and I'm not saying that your relationship is perfect or mine is perfect. I'm saying that hurting each other thing is a huge part, and just being able to say, hey, I need to step away, and that other person knowing that what that means and allowing that, that's huge. That's huge. I'm gonna read
That's
a couple
big.
of comments and then we're gonna go to the last one because I know your bedtime coming up. So let me.
My bad.
So so Erica says I was controlling and strict and judgmental and unyielding and hypersensitive and codependent and unforgiving, and I thought I was the perfect partner, and the list goes on. Abandonment issues.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not alone.
yeah.
And I feel like
It's
a lot of those. Go ahead.
No. We both like to talk. That's why we keep colliding, y'all. We both talkers, so it's not like somebody trying to step on somebody's toes. I could tell. That's why when I watched her, I was like, she gonna be good for. I don't even have to poke and prod her to pull stuff out. That's why we keep colliding, because we both talkers. But go ahead, you got the floor.
I was gonna say a lot of those things are human nature, and if you like think just back to like our primitive brains, right? There are instinctive things that we just reaction like we do out of reaction, but being able to like learn to take a pause and recognize, okay, and that's what I was saying earlier, how the brain really can't differentiate a lion about to kill you from your partner pissing you off. It can't. It just
Oh,
feels
that's
threat,
good.
threat,
That's
threat.
good.
Right. And so you have to be like, woosah, I'm safe. I'm okay. Um, how do I need to proceed? Sometimes proceed is, you know what? I cannot participate in this conversation right now. Let me get a break and we'll revisit. Like that is probably one of the most common sentences in our relationship.
Yeah,
Is let me go process this. Let me work through this. Let me articulate this in a way that makes sense because I don't want to say it in a way that's going to hurt you. I don't want to say it in a way that's going to just break apart what we know we're both committed to, which is each other.
yeah. And you know what I found too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that people who need to walk away, it's almost like there's something that happens, maybe chemically or something like fight or flight happens, and then they need to
Yeah,
go separate so that they can calm down enough to be able to, like, I think it's something almost physical or psychological that happens where
it
they
is.
have to, and if you don't
You go
allow them to
into
do it, then it just keeps going.
Yep, you go into your fight, flight, or freeze response, and
Hmm.
so it takes about I think 15 to 30 seconds to activate that part of your nervous system, and it takes 20 to 30 minutes for you to get out.
Yeah,
And so if you can learn to recognize your body moving into that and literally the breath will stop you from going into that part of your nervous system and having to deal with 20, 30 minutes of having to get out. Being able
yeah,
to just immediately recognize, pause, take a deep breath, and calm yourself down within those first 15 to 30 seconds is critical. But that
yeah,
takes self-awareness. That takes you being able to get out of your body and look at yourself and without judgment, without criticism, with love, objectivity, so that you can see how things are playing out for you so that you can change. You can't
yeah,
change if you're not aware of what's happening.
yeah. That one thing I think people need to hear more often on both sides of it, because if the person who's not the one that's needing the space to be able to process and make sure that they're not going to come back guns blazing, if the other partner knew that, then they would be more apt to allow it instead of trying to chase you or trying to make you like they feel like you're running from me. It's like, no, I'm going over here for me to calm down so that I don't.
Right.
If people really knew what that, like, I didn't know what that was until I knew what it was recently, and I'm like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
they actually have to go and calm down. Like they
Yeah.
have to. It's not an option. So
I
Yeah,
have.
that's huge. Because in a lot of relationships, there's normally one person that does that, and the other person that wants to handle it right now, and it collides. It collides. I'm the
I
right
can
now
be
guy.
both.
Yeah, see, I'm the right now. I want to fix it right now. So
I can be
that's me,
both.
and I know that that's not fair. Like you, that's the whole communication thing. Like you got to figure
Hmm.
out the rules of engagement. I call it. You have to know what those are so that you don't
Yeah.
hurt each other.
Right.
The last
Right.
one is we kind of tippy toed on it, but I have anger issues or I have a bad temper, and you're leading in with telling someone that. I guess, like we said with all the other ones, I guess you feel like you want to prepare them for it, but this could be a dangerous space to live, right? And if you're the person that you hear this up front and you sign on for that, you're like, oh, everything else seems good, but they got a temper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you
That's the
ever?
red
You said
flag.
you had. Did you say you had some anger?
Woo.
Yeah.
I had to go to anger management classes. Like my temper was bad, and it ain't gone.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't gone. I just don't. It just doesn't control me. It's not in the driver's seat
Right.
anymore. Right. It's
Right.
not that my anger doesn't dictate what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And my anger just lets me know now that something's happening that I don't like, and I'm able to either breathe through it, laugh through it, whatever I got to do, because you can't make decisions from anger. You can't do
Yeah.
anything from anger and expect that to be, unless your life is literally being threatened. Like anger
Yeah.
doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve you.
Yeah. And I think this is also a dangerous place too, because if you're the type of person that claims that this is a part of who you are, you haven't done any work,
Right.
the other partner has to get the brunt of that.
Right.
And if they continue to stay and deal with it, it changes them.
Right.
And a lot of times the other partner becomes an expert at trying to figure out where it comes from so they don't get to feel it
Right.
anymore. And then they become this person that ducks and dodges certain conversations, and it turns them into something else. And it's not a healthy place to be for the individual or the relationship.
I'm like, let's be real and say it. You become the abuser.
Yes.
You have stepped into the role of being an abuser, because no one should have to live that way. Not you, and not
Yeah.
anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not anyone else. And then usually a smart person is going to walk away
Yeah.
from someone
Yeah.
saying that. A sure person, I'm not going to say a
Yeah.
smart person who's sure of themselves and of what they bring to the table and of what kind of life they want to have and relationship they want to have, they're likely going to walk away. And the person that's going to stay across from you and laugh at that statement is the person that can match your energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not where you want to be.
Yeah. And I think also, like what I alluded to earlier, was that's the whole premise of me becoming a coach, and probably somewhat of what you do too, is not just healing but preventative measures too. And I think when somebody signs on for that, because let's keep it real, a lot of us are out here willy nilly in relationships and dating, and we haven't even thought about healing. We carrying stuff with us, and we're existing, and we're functional, like functional alcoholics. Like we're just walking around, everything's cool. When you are with someone that has anger issues like that, and you're the recipient of it, and it's not even about matching energy, and you're taking it and you're sucking it up, and then they're probably not going to leave because they probably don't have the strength that's the work they have to do on themselves. That's what I was saying earlier. Like now you have two people that, because sometimes the person that's taking it doesn't even realize what the issues that they have until they're in it. And sometimes that, attachment theory, we're attaching for certain reasons, and they stay even though they getting beat down for years. Like you talked about being in abusive relationships, and and so a lot of people on here that have stories, and it sucks, man, because these are things that we don't just carry ourselves, but then we have little kids, and yeah,
I
yeah.
already knew you were going there. I
Oh,
felt
I
it
always have to bring it there because it's like,
because
wow.
No, like my last abusive relationship, I left him because his anger went towards my child.
Mm,
And I left that day. Like I left that hour. I had this whole entire plan of how I was gonna get out, where the money was gonna come from, where we were gonna go. Like I had my plan laid out. It was just 5 months in the future. Um, for some reason, I felt like I could tolerate it that long, right? But the moment that it went towards my kid, it was like, yeah, not gonna happen. And I packed my kids. I took a hamper. I filled up a hamper with our clothes, whatever I felt we needed to survive for a couple of weeks, toothbrushes, like just the basics. Threw the hamper in the back of my car, put my kids in the car, drove to work, brought them into work with me, left work, went to the police station, filed a police report. But I didn't want to press charges. I just needed it documented in the event he came after me.
right.
I was homeless for 30 days. But I survived and they survived and they felt like they had the best sleepover party ever. Like to them, the experience was the best thing. And the reason I left was because of them. And that's the truth. Like that's actually the reason a lot of people leave these toxic relationships is because of their children. But
Yeah.
the reason I've stayed out is because of me.
Yeah.
Because you have to
That's
get back. I had to get back to me because I had lost me along the way. And that's what has allowed me to have, the relationship that I have now with my children and with my partner. Right. And that's why when I was sharing earlier, like what I do is help you fix your relationship with you.
yeah. Yeah.
Because until you haven't fixed your relationship with you, we can't build what you want to build. Like even into money, like people spend money trying to fill a void that isn't going to be filled by the things that you're buying.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. This show went some places I wasn't
I'm
expecting
like,
it
I
to
took
go, but it's good. It's good though. Like, a lot of times I always tell people this, man. People don't realize that when you're in the healing people, helping people business, a lot of the stuff we talk about is therapy for us. But when we get off of the platforms, it's like, and then you got to recharge because you've given so much. Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm built for
That
it,
is
man.
so true.
I'm here to help. I know you are too. Like I think, and it's a lot of different people on here that do similar work and coaches and stuff. And it's one of those things where I always tell people like you gotta love what you do when you do this. You have to
Yeah.
love it
It takes a
because
lot
it's
of
so
energy.
yeah yeah
It
you
takes
you
a lot of
gotta
energy.
you have to
Like
you
I don't
have to
have that many one-on-one clients
yeah
because
yeah
it's heavy. But I have group stuff that people step into,
yes yes
which
yes
is great because we
yep
support each other in that space. Um, but I don't like. I'm very picky about who I help one on one.
yeah
Um,
yeah.
it's hard
I am,
work.
yeah. I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
have
like,
to limit. I have to limit the amount per month, or it will definitely it's too much. And that's not an indictment on whether you should or shouldn't get help. It's just we have to be functional to be able to give you our all when we do deal with you, and it's a lot of emotional space there. Like we
yeah,
talked about this whole show, people are carrying things, and when they go to a coach or a therapist, they're unleashing all of that, and you have to be able to absorb it and figure it out in order to help them, and it takes a little bit, but that's what we do. That's why I say this right here, this coaching and the therapist and all these other people,
it's needed.
you gotta
I'm like
love.
loving how many Black people are in this field because when I remember
Yeah,
when I first stepped in, I didn't see a lot of my people.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that community has been growing, and I am loving it because who better to walk you down the path you're trying to walk on than someone who's walked it before?
yeah,
And not
yeah.
just from an experience, like, like I've done it, but like also from a cultural
Yep,
experience.
yep, yep. Absolutely, absolutely. We're
So,
gonna start wrapping this up now. This is what I
yeah.
want you to do. Um, I want you to talk to people about you said you're a intuitive money coach.
Yeah.
Talk to them a little bit about that. Let's push your brand. Tell them a little
All
bit
right, all
about
right.
that, and then also talk a little bit more about what you do as a trauma coach, just in case people forget.
Yeah, yeah. So I say that I'm an intuitive money and trauma coach because those two go hand in hand. And I started working with clients focusing on their money traumas. So a lot of people have money traumas and just aren't aware of them. And we learn how we're going to be with money by the time we're 12 years old. And we just repeat and reinforce, repeat and reinforce, and repeat and reinforce over the years. And so what I do with my clients is we go all the way back to the beginning and we lay it all out. And what I do then is energetically look for the underlying pattern. So like
Right.
what's been your story that you haven't picked up on so that we can bring that to the surface, because that's what we need to work on. Like I don't want to work on the symptoms. Let's
Yeah.
get to the root. Let's get to what actually triggered this behavior, this pattern, and let's start to unpack that and let's do the healing work and all that stuff. And that's when I started to branch into, you know, this thing that I'm doing with money transitions over into what I've experienced in my life, overcoming and healing trauma.
Right.
And like you said, recognizing that there are people out there that have been working on their trauma for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And in a matter of 2.5 years, I did, without going to therapy, I practically changed who I was,
Yeah.
developed all these beautiful habits, have a healthy relationship. How did I do that? So that's what I teach now, is helping people do the same thing, expedite the healing process. I think therapy is great if you need it. Some
Yeah.
people need therapy, some people need a pastor, some people need groups, some people need coaches.
Yep.
And I feel like whatever it is that you need, find it. But what I do is that I help people really get to the root of what's going on, um, so that we can unpack it. Like I have a workbook called Honor Your Triggers.
Yep. Yep. I get it.
Like, what does that mean? When people see that, they're like, what? Honor them. They're your caution sign. They're
Yep.
your beacon. They're your guide. Stop running away from them, because they're reminding you that there's this wound here that needs your attention, and that right now you're ready to do the work to heal that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Wow, that's amazing. I need for you to let people know how they can find you.
yeah. So I'm on Instagram as at R2E Coach. That's R as in Romeo, number 2, letter E as in elephant, coach. On Facebook, you can find me at Alta Felix. And those are primarily the two places I hang out on and interact with people.
Okay. I just put the Instagram link in the comments. So everybody, make
Thank
sure
you.
if you do nothing else, click that link and follow her and see what she's got going on. Oh,
Yes.
your Friday talk, yeah. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yes. OMG. Okay. So that's how all of this kind of started, was because I went out there to start saying that I'm going to start talking about the fact that when we go through toxic shit, we become toxic ourselves. And unless we're doing the work to unpack that, we end up like, like Derek was saying, going into new relationships and making that relationship a toxic one inadvertently. So the talk that I have coming up this Friday, if you missed the first one, go back and watch it. It's called The Hidden Truths of Not So Healthy Relationships. And I talk about some of the things that you experience and how you may now be the person perpetrating that behavior. So this week coming up, we're doing Not Owning Your Whole Truth. So I'm excited about that. Because
So this
anyone who's my client who knows me knows that that is probably my favorite line.
so this is Instagram Live, right?
Yes.
So
On
make sure
Friday.
you click that link in there, follow her so you can get the notifications. And dang, it was something else I was gonna say. Instagram Live, and it's Fridays at what time?
At 9 p.m. Eastern.
And you're doing a series of how many?
4.
4 total or 4 more?
4 total. So
4
3
total.
more.
Okay.
It might continue, but for now, that's all I'm committed to.
You must continue. You have to keep I'm telling you right now, everybody on here will agree with me. You need to be on camera and you need to be telling your story. You need to be helping people get out of that.
Thank
You
you.
got to do it. You have to. You have to.
Thank you.
You have to.
We'll see.
Especially because you like to talk too. Like get it up,
I
get it
do.
off, get it off.
I do love to talk. I love to listen and I love to talk. Those are two things that I really do love to do. So yeah, maybe I'll continue. We'll see. Like I said, I'm only committing to 4. This was a stretch for me to come out there and really start to have conversations that aren't, in my opinion, coddling the victim. Because that's what I've been seeing is everyone wants to slow walk it, slow talk it, sugarcoat things like. And I also do trigger warnings. It is not for you if you're not ready to have a mirror reflected back to you, because that's what I'm doing. I'm reflecting this back to you so you can start to do the shit that you need to do so that you can do the work that needs to be done. But yeah, they're on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Instagram. And if you didn't catch the last one, go back and watch it for all the new followers. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
Cool. Like I said, guys, this ain't the last time y'all gonna see her. She don't know it yet, but she about to work the circuit. It's some folks on here that's probably gonna be hitting you up soon to get your name, your face, and your brand out there. We got you. Because now that you're on the show, you're a part of the community that we're building now. So yeah.
I'm honored.
We definitely need you as a part of this because we're all here with the same mission to help people heal, bring awareness to different things. So yeah, stay tuned. Y'all anybody on here, y'all know, y'all can DM her. And I'm telling you right now, some folks have some shows that you would bring a lot of value to. So a lot of us do very similar work. So on that note, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Make sure you go to relationshipgumbo.info, and this Monday, let me see. Let me see if it's the right. Yeah, there it is. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Real Shop Talk. This Monday we got a topic that I know a lot of you guys know about personally. We're gonna talk about narcissists. So make sure that you get in on that show. We're gonna talk about it. Yeah, trigger warning. Super duper trigger warning. We're going to talk about narcissists. This thing is being talked about all over the internet. I feel like over the past few years, it's like going crazy. Like people are just, I don't know whether people are just feeling more comfortable talking about it now, but I see it a lot now. So yeah, I know, trigger warning. Yeah, but we got to do it. We got to talk about the things that people are afraid to talk about too. So yeah. Stay tuned, guys. That's coming. Yeah, I know. We're gonna talk about the we got to. So bring your comments and everything else, and we're gonna talk about it. So on that note, guys, thank you again for coming.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I am so happy you reached out, and I'm really looking forward to all the future conversations.
Cool. So guys, make sure that you come back next week, same time, same place. Make sure you stay safe. Keep everybody in your circle safe, and anybody that's within your range, please, whether you vaccinated or not, stay safe. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning